first things first, we're gonna probably, it's gonna be easier if we take this cross pipe off. So we're gonna get as a flathead or maybe a 10 mil here. These are 8s actually, so we're gonna loosen that.
I can be the hardware guy.
And a few 10 mils here.
Those probably need to come all the way out, eh?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So we'll take
Just
some of
hand
these
them
off,
to me.
and then maybe you can put them in a safe place here.
Yeah, I
so
won't
they
lose them.
but I'll know which ones go where because of doing these a few times. And then
These just need to be loosened.
those just need to be loosened. There's a few vacuum lines here that we're going to take out. With,
Oh, these have been off already.
I just take them all, loosen them off. Take that off there, and that I believe there's one 10 mil back over here. So you just kind of go around and look for anything that's keeping the crossover pipe from lifting off.
All these hoses look like they're 30 years old, so some of these might crack if we're not careful.
Absolutely.
And we might not be able to prevent that from happening either way,
for sure.
even if we're careful. So.
And one product that's great for keeping these hoses in good shape is called silicone.
It's coming.
grease.
It's not seized on. That's good.
That's a good sign. Good start. So, I wonder if Kyle, you can give me a hand with loosening those hoses because some of them might need a little bit of convincing to come off. Meanwhile, take this crossover hose off as well as this piece that's covering the spark plug gallery will need to come off.
That's off.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so these ones need to come off. Okay, so this pipe, we can just
Try to get that off.
try to get that off, please, and then we'll work on some of these other hoses here. This is a blow-off valve return.
This is a long barb on this hose.
Yep.
Does this have to come off too?
That's
Here?
gotta, well, we can just move that out of the way. Yeah. Just like that. Okay. And we'll lift that out of the way so that we can doesn't get in our way.
Out. Did you loosen these yet?
Not yet, no. Okay, so this is a 4 mil Allen key that we're gonna do. And you can take those all out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you can just back those out
Got it.
as I work on this crossover tube. So I think there are about 10 of these 4 mil Allen head screws holding the gallery on.
I'm just gonna get them high enough to get my fingers on them so I can make sure I don't drop them out.
Good idea. Okay, so just kind of wiggle the crossover pipe over. So comes off. Just like that.
Excuse me, viewers, my hat bill might be in the way.
Okay, so that's loose, and then you kind of look at anything that's catching on the pipe here and then remove that as well. So you can see that some of these air hoses here going to the intake. Take the hose clamps off of those as well.
And if you've got any items in your pockets that might dent the fenders, might be a good idea to pull those out of your pocket.
That's a good point as well, Kyle, that you make.
I'm gonna check here real quick.
A lot of dealerships or some mechanics will have kind of a tarp to go over here. We're just being very careful with our clothing here.
And I had some keys in my pockets which probably could dent fenders if you pushed on it hard enough.
Definitely good when you're working with, especially with higher value cars, but with any car in general, I think it's a good practice. So we're pulling off some of these vacuum hoses, making sure that everything
And these hex bolts
is kind of out of the way here.
are very short, only about 10 millimeters long.
So I've moved the crossover pipe over. I'm just putting it aside for the time being, somewhere where it won't fall or scratch. Okay, so we're getting access to these all 10, I believe, or 8 or 10. I think think there are 10 or maybe 8 with these Allen head bolts. Okay. Then I'm going to disconnect this igniter piece here, this box at the back over here. Same on the RB26, same on the RB20, on the RB25. I'm going to unclip these. This helps to have a bit of a
Should I
tool.
push down on that? Is that a push down there?
It's already loose from the clip there, so I'm just going to wiggle it back. Push
You
it
want me
back
to pull on it from the back
Okay.
while you do that?
Yeah, you can give it a tug. Perfect. Thank you. All right, and we're gonna.
These are all heat soaked and brittle after 30 years from turbo
You want to take good care of
temperatures, so if they break, don't be surprised.
It
But
came off pretty easy. Perfect.
the coil ones themselves will be worse because they've been underneath this cover baking on the head for 30 years.
I'll take the.
Okay.
Igniter out.
Are there any more of these Allen keys on the?
Yeah, there's gonna be a
galley
couple
cover?
more
Under the
Under
igniter?
the igniter, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
So I'll hand you some of these, some of the hardware again. You can help me keep track of them.
Yeah, it's all going in the same place as long as you know where it goes by looking
yeah,
at
perfect. Yeah, I know it. There you go. So. Thank you, Kyle.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So now that the igniter, all the hardware is loose, we'll just put the igniter aside. Thank you again. And then that'll expose the last couple of bolts, the Allen head bolts that we need to remove the spark plug gallery. So that's these ones over here. Kyle, get you to loosen those again as well. And then once those are out, we'll be able to remove the spark plug gallery. And one thing to note when you're removing this piece is to make sure that if you haven't already wiped down the top of the valve cover, keep it level so that if you tip it, sometimes there's dust and stuff that goes into, and debris that goes into the spark plug gallery, and then you'll have to use compressed air to get that out. So make sure you keep the spark plug gallery as clean as possible, and that'll help your engine from getting dirty on the inside. And then when you come to change your spark plugs, then some of that might fall into the cylinder. So one thing to make sure is to keep everything clean over here. So I'm gonna lift this slowly from the back, make sure we got all the bolts here. I think that was it. So I'm gonna lift it up. Okay, it's coming out. Slowly lift it, making sure that I don't drop anything into the spark plug gallery. So that is lifted out. So Kyle, I'm gonna get you to keep that somewhere safe. And that exposes the spark plug gallery over here and the coils. And these individual pieces here, these black blocks, these are all coils. There's 6 of them obviously, and they've got connectors going to them. Now this connector, or this harness, is notoriously brittle. If they haven't been changed, they're still available from Nissan. Highly recommended to change them over if you are doing this job, as they're generally pretty brittle. We didn't prepare that this time, as we're hoping that these come out without too much hassle, but that's something to consider if you're doing this job as well. So these are held on by these clips over here. What I'll do is
Do they just bend?
yeah, they'll bend, but I actually prefer to just unscrew them and then just
I have the large Phillips if you want to try that. No, the 8's better.
Yeah, the 8's probably better. So
Yeah,
let's,
for sure. My mistake.
I'll let you take those 8s out while I slowly and gently remove these.
You want to spray them with some WD?
I think probably okay. I don't know if I want the WD to be in this area here.
Okay.
Generally, so we'll just be gentle with this.
I'll get my magnet.
Good idea, Kyle. Okay, so that number 6 came out pretty smoothly. So we're gonna. Didn't break, I don't think. I think that was a good non-breaking noise.
Well, it looks, at least even if it broke, it didn't break much, and it'll still work pretty well.
For sure. So, key is to gently press this release tab down. And sometimes when you press down the release tab, it just breaks, and it's just inevitable, and that happens. But trying to make sure there's as little pressure as possible coming down on the release tab. Check for that click, and then use your little jeweler's flathead screwdriver just to wiggle it off and ease it off evenly. And that one came out very nicely and smoothly as well. So that's number 5. I'm gonna be moving on to, maybe I'll start with the number 1 here because Kyle's working in that same area.
This car supposedly only has about 35,000 miles on it.
Yeah,
So maybe it's not that baked. Did that one break? It sounded like it broke.
actually, fortunately, it did not. And sometimes they'll make a fairly loud noise, but because they're always in kind of tension when they're in there. But when you push down, you'll hear that click to release it.
Okay.
Yeah, and then that's the release.
Do you want me to pry on that to the other side? No, it looks like you got it pretty well. These are coming out nice.
They are coming out very nicely, and it's rare for them actually not to break. So we're very fortunate today that these are coming out in a nice without breaking here. So
man, this is a dream compared to the 300CX I did.
Absolutely. Okay, we're doing pretty well here. I think we're doing.
We only have one more to do.
One more to do. So we'll push that one down here for that click, and that was great. Plastic seems to be good on this, and then that will just come out real nice.
I think there's one more. Isn't that one I need to get?
Yeah, and then you can just take that. Yeah, there's another bracket there. We'll remove that, and then everything will be in the same place, and nothing will be bent, and we don't need to bend anything back. It'll be all in stock position.
I got my magnet.
And everything gets bolted back. And Kyle's had the good idea of bringing the magnets. There's a lot of small hardware components involved in this job, so make sure you don't drop them into the abyss of the engine bay, and then your job will go a lot smoother. And we're fortunate that this job is going very well so far. We'll move this out of the way. Okay.
Now let's start on the coils, undoing them.
Yeah, and then I'll just...
I'm going to switch to a longer extension.
Just going to disconnect some of these connectors here to give me some space. And that harness will just move out of the way.
4 on each? Jeez.
Yeah, it's 4 on each. They're very secure.
That's a lot. That's a lot of hardware to pull out of here.
Okay. And then I'm going to move on to the 12 mil to take out the coil brackets.
If you guys don't have one of these stubby ratchets, they're extremely handy.
Yeah. Okay. Actually, maybe I'll just help you out with the.
You need another 8?
I'm just wondering if I can't remember if I'm able to replace the coils without taking the bracket out. And
well, let's just see if one comes out.
yeah, because I've always taken the bracket out, but then now that I realize we might be able to do that without taking the bracket assembly out, and then that'll save us a little bit of time here. I'm gonna try to find another 8 mil to help Kyle out while we do this.
I'm putting some of these hardwares in my pocket in case we don't know where they are later.
Okay, copy that, Kyle.
Here in a second we'll know if we need to take out that bracket or if these just lift out without taking out those, looks like, what are those, 14s?
Yeah.
Comes right out. At least the front one did, the number 1 came out.
Okay, well that's good to know. In that case, we won't need to take this bracket out.
These are not jacks, they're Hanshin.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were wondering. That's one of the things we were wondering because some of the solder that they use on the jacks could be problematic, and we're wondering if Unesia Jacks coils or Unesia Jacks company was responsible for making these coils, but apparently they're Hanshin.
In any case, they worked really well for 30 years, so you can't really complain.
Absolutely, you're right. And
ran perfectly up until I did a hard pull against an S2000, which somehow I won.
Okay, so I'm just gonna loosen these, and then maybe you can finger use your
Yeah.
coil and kind of finger there to loosen those coils.
Probably when your coils go out, the car will still run. It'll just start missing and misfiring a lot, especially on throttle change at medium to high RPM.
Yeah, it kind of sound like popcorn, or like a boxer engine almost, you know.
Yeah, and my the RB26 does the same exact thing. It's all these RB engines because they use the same coils and they all go bad in the same way.
Yeah, they'll start to cut out kind of violently when you get to the higher RPMs. Almost always on load.
But if you're cruising and holding a steady RPM, the car actually will run fine and get good same fuel mileage. It's kind of unusual.
Yeah, the thing to do is to keep on top of it so that you don't get stranded.
Yeah, we're about to drive this car from Brewston Mills, West Virginia to Seattle, Washington, and we want to make sure that it's running right, obviously.
Absolutely. Had the good foresight to get brand new coils here.
Fortunate to be able to find them so quickly.
Fairly good progress here with these coils.
Well, the 4 hands help.
Yeah.
I'm just a laborer. You're the one knowing
Big help.
what to do.
Really speeds this process up when we have a helper.
There's a lot of hardware in here.
There
Looks
is.
like a rat brought some nuts and seeds in here.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll find him in here. Kind of hope not. I don't smell anything.
No. I think it was just looking for a temporary home.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I think I'm at the last bolt here holding the coil down. So at this point...
Now we just need to pull these out, eh?
Absolutely. Okay.
Just be careful. The rat was living in there. Look at the seeds down there.
It's quite a bit of stuff there. Yeah,
That's
we'll try not to disturb any of that so that they don't fall in.
We could vacuum it out.
We could, yeah. Take a moment to do that.
We should do that.
I'll set the coils down over to the side here with the rest of the stuff.
You can just toss them if you want.
Well, just hold on to them for a brief moment in case
I'm in the way there. So my pointer here, down in these holes there's been a rodent. There's a lot of, looks like sunflower seeds, which I have no idea where he would have been getting those from.
Okay, so because of the amount of rat chewings in or rat sunflower seeds in here, we've decided to take the coil brackets out anyway, and these are just 7 bolts, I believe, 12 mil that I'm taking out right now. And then the brackets will come out very easily there. So they just lift quite simply like that. The rear ones come out just like that, and then ready for Kyle to shop back. Kyle just finished vacuuming the spark plug gallery here, so we're gonna replace the coil bracket back where we removed it from, and then maybe I'll get Kyle to just tighten these 12 mils back as I set them into place here. And these all have washers on them, so you want to make sure that every single one of them, such as this one that's missing a washer here, has a washer replaced underneath them.
Even that one has a washer.
And that one has a washer as well. All of them will have a washer. So we'll line them up nicely, and then we'll put a washer and a bolt in each of those holes and make sure those are all snugged up and ready to go. So just make sure that's finger tight here, and then probably tighten them down there. And that will be good. That's tight. That is good. And that last bolt here, and then the last bolt's got a ground attached to it. Make sure you put it through that ground ring terminal there. You might be in the camera's way there.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Move that into the way. Okay, so that's got a ground terminal there. Make sure that's in there good. And then we can snug them down real nice with the 12 mils. So I usually do them in kind of a crisscross pattern. Make sure that's good. That's good. Okay, and then we can tighten those down. I'll pass you the wrench here and the socket for the ratchet. Okay, thank you. And then I'll move on to opening up this box of coils here. Beauty, look at that, brand new Hanshin coil. Exactly what came as original, but they'll last another 30 years of driving, so very happy to see those there. And then I'm gonna drop one of them in cylinder number 6 here and make sure the orientation is right so that they only fit in there one way, and we're gonna replace the screws that came off them just like that. So screw number 1 has gotten started. Number 2. Thanks for tightening those 12 mils down, Kyle. You can
leave that at all.
Yeah, we can do so, and I'll just set them, and then maybe you can tighten them down as well.
Here, take 2 coils.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. And you can go ahead and maybe open those coils up with this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, in boxes and then out of the boxes, so that'll make sure I'm ready to install them.
This one's open.
Okay, great.
I opened one to check it was the right part.
Okay. Thank you, Kyle.
It's up there.
Doing pretty well here. Number 6 here is in place, so then I just need to tighten that down. Number 5. Make sure it's
They all go. Do these switch orientation or do they?
They do switch orientation. They only go in one way. So find out the way that they go in.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I see.
They're just kind of offset to one side, and then it'll be fairly obvious when you put it in or line it up that you're either putting it in the right way or the wrong way. That's good. Put those screws back in. Okay.
Pretty fun job, not too dirty, pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it is a good activity here for even a novice mechanic. Just kind of get, as long as you follow the video and the instructions, and should be fairly straightforward. If you have any comments, just leave them out in the. If you have any questions, just leave them in the comments there, and we'll be sure to answer any questions that you might have. If you're doing this at home, we're always happy to help you out, and make sure you're on your way driving instead of having your car parked in the garage, because that's never a fun time. So I'm going to get some of the other screws there that we put aside.
And yeah, I'm not sure if Kenji mentioned it, but as you're pushing this down into position, you'll feel a little bit of resistance. The metal part of the coil doesn't really want to seat against the mating surface like without some pressure, because there's that rubber part of the coil where it mates to the spark plug itself that kind of pushes back. Yeah. So that's normal.
For sure, yeah. And that's the boot, and that just insulates the connection between the spark plug and the end of the coil there, so that no moisture or dirt or anything comes into that critical area where we're trying to get as much power or much electricity into the spark plug to fire the cylinder.
Do you think we should do a dielectric grease on these?
I I'm kind of on the fence about dielectric grease because it is an insulator. But it would be up to you, Kyle, if you'd like to. They don't come with dielectric grease in the factory. I'll mention this.
Don't need it.
Yeah, they're dry from the factory. There's no residue ever of any grease or components, and maybe there was a reason for
You
that.
placed all that? Are those all placed?
Yeah, the back ones are placed for sure. The number 5 and number 6.
Do you have the stubby ratchet somewhere, or do I?
I do have this stubby
Oh, I got
ratchet.
it. I got it. I got the.
Okay. So you're just gonna be on a.
Fujiko. Ganbatte kudasai. Gamanshite.
See you guys in town 6-ish.
Sounds good.
Oh, we're doing dinner?
Yeah.
Where?
You guys
That.
okay?
Oh, let's do that steakhouse.
Okay.
Maybe you see my cousin.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, there was a rattling down in here making lots of. There was like a whole bunch of sunflower seed shavings. A lot.
Awesome. He's having a party,
Having
a rat
party in the RB in Japan. Probably in
He
Japan.
looks like a really furry rat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no kidding.
There's some of his pee here. It's really cool.
Oh, it's good in his rat.
Okay. Bye bye.
And these are not going to take a lot of pressure to bolt down. Don't over torque these. It is a metal flange on the coil, so you could torque it and it wouldn't probably hurt it much, but just don't
Yeah.
go crazy because you're putting it into aluminum.
Right, for sure. And the reason why there's 4 of them is just to keep them level. But they're not. They're just. The bolts are there just to hold them in place, and not necessarily to torque them in any sense.
I would say, yeah, go until it seats and then a quarter turn is probably enough. No more than 10 pounds. Couple holes there. And just snugging them all up, and then I'll go back around and give them a little quarter turn. Maybe, I don't know, there's probably a factory torque spec. It's probably like in inch pounds, but it probably comes out to like 5 or 10 foot-pounds or less. Ignition coils. This doesn't have a distributor. It's an ignition coil for each cylinder.
Wow, that requires a little timing, doesn't it?
The timing's here by this cam angle sensor.
Okay. So if they're all snug, we are ready to put the harness back.
It's not torqued.
Okay.
Let me go back through just because there's so
Okay,
many and
sounds
make
good.
sure they're all decently
Okay.
firm. I mean,
As long as they're decent, yeah, like you said, as long as they're decently firm, they're
I just want to
okay.
make sure there aren't some I missed. That one was a little too loose.
And what might be, yeah, what Kyle is doing is doing the crisscross pattern as he's tightening them, just to keep that pressure even across all 4 bolts there, so that they don't go on kind of crooked.
Just like your tires and wheels.
You're right.
All right, they're all tight and good enough.
And I think you still have the stubby 8, do you?
I have the stubby 8 right here. Do you need it?
Nope, just to make sure you have it. Okay, so
Where's my magnet? There it is.
we'll plug them in, and the plug them in just like that is good.
And the click won't, obviously, you didn't hear that click like
Yeah,
it
you'll
was when
feel
it
it
coming
though.
off.
Yeah, you'll definitely feel the click though. Just push them in gently until you feel that click.
That goes there.
One by one. Yep. Right, just like that, and then drop it into place. And then Kyle will get the little screws. He's coming with the little screws to give me about half of those, and I'll start. Okay, thank you. And they're all the same length and size, I believe. So just get them started. Make sure they're not cross-threaded. Yeah, they put a little pressure on them to make sure they're lined up. These are going in very smoothly. Sometimes they like to corrode, but these ones are in good shape, so you can see that.
That one's crossing. Try another one.
Yep. Okay,
Here's the last one.
thank you. Put some pressure on the back of here so that they're lined up.
That one went in. Might have come out of that hole to begin with.
Okay.
Okay, start from the inside when you torque. Just that's general good practice.
Yep.
Like a head
For
gasket.
sure. Absolutely.
Crossing around.
Just right there. I got the igniter.
This hose is in the way.
Well, just put these igniter bolts in a special place, so the long ones that go through the igniter.
No.
We'll find them.
Not that I recall.
Do a bit of memory jogging here.
Might be in my pocket, but I don't think I put some in my pocket.
Okay, well let's you can tighten those two rear ones down and like put the igniter back in and then hook everything back up.
Find those bolts.
And these also don't need to be too tight as well, so
There you go. Quarter turn after contact.
exactly.
It's all
You got it.
aluminum.
Perfect. Right. Okay, so there's a little arrow on them, and the arrow should point forward. If you look at that, it's got an arrow to indicate the direction, and that means the front of the car. We'll put that in, and then these connectors also only go in a certain way. So, okay, sorry about that. No, this goes to the back. So this arrow goes to the back of the car. It'll be obvious when you try to connect it because the connector will only go in a certain way.
Looks like I do have them right here.
Nice. Okay.
I knew you cleaned it.
Okay.
Disregard what it said. I was right the first time. This goes to the front of the car, and the box sits up like that with the black side up. And the connector will connect only a certain way. Click one, and then we'll put screws in there as Kyle's doing right now. And I believe one of them has a ground attached to it,
Oh, really?
and that's this one over here. So we're gonna connect
It's the back one.
the back one. So I'm gonna connect the ones that I can first. So this one here, I guess it didn't really need to be disconnected, but that one will go there.
Two of them have ground.
And then this one's just kind of a bracket, I guess, to hold everything, this harness in place. So that's good. And that is, I believe, not starting yet, but I think might.
Maybe these aren't the right. These aren't the right ones. These go somewhere else.
Okay. So what might have happened is that we might have put the some of the ones that were supposed to go in the igniter have gone on the coil, I think. So we didn't realize that some of them are different lengths. So we're gonna take this back out and find the ones that are different lengths here. So what had happened is that we didn't realize that some of these are longer and they're the same as the bolts that secure the coil down onto the head in the spark plug gallery. So the ones that bolt onto the spark plug or the coils are a little bit shorter, and the igniter ones are a little bit longer. So make sure you keep track of that when you're doing this yourself at home. But now we're able to find them, and we're going to screw them back into the top of the igniter. And make sure you put the ground wire back in to the hole over here for this one, and also make sure that the coil or the ignition igniter's directional arrow points forward, and you can't really mess that up because everything kind of plugs in and bolts in only one way. So nicely getting back together on that igniter. Everything is snug, great, perfect. Okay, so once Kyle snugs those down, we're going to take this crossover pipe and put it back in where we found it. So we're going to put that, slant that in there.
What about this piece down here?
That piece,
Does it need to be above this or above?
It's below that, yeah. So
both of them below?
Yeah, both of them. I believe this goes below that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect. Let's put this on there first.
Okay.
Is that in? These screws are in there still.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks.
Let me get them out. This has to be spun out of the way.
Right. Okay. That's in. That's in. Locked them. That's good. All right. Excellent. Okay, we're gonna put these back on. Okay. There.
I got the close clamps.
Thank you.
We'll pull that one off. So I can get
Oh
the
yeah.
clamp.
Okay. Right. That is connected. That's good. Sure, all these EGR lines.
These
are
aren't the
good.
right tool.
Okay, you want to make sure you connect this one underneath the throttle body here first as well, because this one is hard to see. It's
I don't even know it was off.
often missed. In fact, this line is broken, so we might need a new vacuum line for this one.
It's broken? Did we just break it?
No, they usually break.
So we take that size hose to the auto parts store?
Yeah, it's just a regular vacuum line there.
Can we do that vacuum line with these
Yeah, the
still
hoses.
connected?
Yeah.
Will
So
it drive?
It'll drive.
Which hose are you talking about? This little skinny one?
Yeah, that's the little
Oh.
skinny one that's usually missed.
Oh geez, that's totally broken in half.
Yeah.
It's not just cracked off a little.
Yeah.
It's gone.
So we can replace that. They usually get brittle.
It's probably been broken for a long time.
Yeah, but otherwise, I think everything is in place. Yeah. Looks good. All right. So other than that one little vacuum line, I think we're all set up and ready to go.
Should we start it?
Yep, sounds good.
All right.
Give it a start.
How do you like how it sounds?
I think it sounds good.
Couple of
really-
misses in
yeah.
there. It's still missing a little. But
I think it's within reason.
would you say that's maybe the plug or the harness or
Maybe the plug.
ignition control module?
We'll find out when we get out on the street, but so far it seems to be okay.
Yeah, it runs fine.
Could be because of the vacuum leak there too.
True.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.